Well, I do want to talk about one of our favorite topics today. I know it's a favorite of yours as well as mine, and that's origin of life. So let's start this way. If you kind of back up a little bit, Brian, kind of, to Steve Meyer, some of his work, maybe we could talk about him first and then Jim Tour and then some of your own research. Just kind of give us a summary, if you will, of some of the challenges and some of the issues that have been raised.
Yeah, certainly. So Stephen Meyer obviously wrote the book Signature in the Cell,
Hmm.
and that dovetailed with earlier books such as The Mystery of Life's Origin. And what Stephen Meyer did was it was really related to his PhD thesis, is he was making the case that you can come up with a robust scientific argument for there being design in biology. And part of the way that argument works is you show that a system could not realistically occur through chance or natural processes. And you can also show that in some way it's specified, it's special, it points to purpose. And in his arguments, he made both of those cases. So he talked about how everything we know about chemistry and physics, all the origin of life research, suggests that chemicals will not naturally move towards the state of life. In fact, quite the opposite.
Right.
What he also showed, though, is that even beyond the challenges of chemistry and physics, the problem is what's central to life is information. So what happens, and you've talked about this, and many of us have talked about this, but what he articulated so clearly in his book was that if you want to do something in a cell, the cell has to have enzymes. It has to have these molecular machines to make things happen. And those machines themselves are composed of things like amino acids. So you have this chain of amino acids, much like letters in a sentence. In
Hmm.
the same way, you've got 26 letters in the English alphabet, you've got 20 amino acids, or occasionally an extra one or two. What happens is you have to have the right order, the information, the same way you have the information in a sentence, for the sequence of amino acids to fold into the right structure to do something useful. So Stephen Meyer made the case that information is absolutely essential to life. So those are two arguments that he's made very effectively.
Right. Good, good. And then if we jump to Jim Tour and some of the stuff that he's been doing, particularly over the last couple of years, I would say, how does that dovetail?
Well, what happens is, while Meyer was presenting these very general arguments and using some specific examples, James Tour went very, very, very deep into chemistry. So what James Tour was showing is that it's exceptionally difficult, even in an advanced laboratory setting, to create complex molecules. And as our listeners have heard many times before, James Tour creates these really amazing molecular machines that can cure cancer potentially in the future and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, he has to use incredibly complex protocols to create his machines, but the machines in life are far more complicated than what he creates.
Hmm.
So, what he argued is that if you look at what chemistry naturally does, either today or on the early Earth, you're never going to expect natural processes to produce something like RNA or proteins. And what he went into great detail of those challenges. But what he also did was he showed that the origin of life research that claims to solve the problem of life's origin, or at least parts of the problem, the only way they make progress is by using exceptionally complicated chemical procedures where there's constant intervention, where they change conditions, where they add molecules to assist in the process. And he said, look, this has no relevance to what would have happened on the early Earth. So those are
Hmm.
the sorts of arguments he's made.
Right. And if you're using these complex protocols, just to give an example, or I'm just sort of pulling it out of the air here, but you have to have a particular pH, or you have to have a particular temperature. You have to mix a certain chemical at a particular amount of time and leave it and then purify it and do another step. This all requires information, right? So it's that information aspect again that is being highlighted in all of the effort that the researchers are doing to move this set of reactions in the right direction.
Yeah, that's an exceptionally insightful point that you just made. And it's something also that Stephen Meyer addressed in his book, his writings, his essays, is that what these origin of life researchers are actually doing is they're showing the absolute necessity of information to move molecules towards life.
Hmm.
So, in the same way, an enzyme has these very specific ordering of amino acids. These scientific protocols have these very specific conditions, steps, interventions that serve the same function as these enzymes. So, what happens is, as Stephen Meyer talks about, how information constrains possibilities. It
Hmm.
ensures only a certain set of desired outcomes take place. And the same way, the enzymes constrain what happens in a cell, the researchers use information to force the chemical processes that produce what they want.
Right, right. Well said. I like that. And I guess it sort of highlights something. I think Jim Tours said this, but I'll state it this way. He says that molecules left to their own devices have no interest in moving toward life, and no tendency to do so, frankly. I guess I would add. So, left to their own devices, they're pretty helpless.
Yeah, and in fact, it's really interesting. One of my favorite papers is by Stephen Benner, who is a really one of the world most respected origin of life researchers. He's operating from the assumption that life must have happened through a
Yeah.
natural process. But in his paper, Paradoxes of the Origin of Life, he states explicitly that everything we know about chemistry, everything we know about physics, uh, processes like thermodynamics, and even all the research we've seen reinforces the idea that molecules do not move towards life, but they move away from life.
Mm,
That all this research does, if it's at all realistic, is it creates complex mixtures that are referred to often as tars or asphalts. So I was shocked at the honesty of the article. Of course, at the end of the article, he says, but we should still have hope. We should just sort of assume it happened naturally and
yeah.
maybe our assumptions are wrong or something along those lines. But yeah, so James Tour actually was very generous to the field compared to other people within the field.
Right. Well, yeah. In fact, one of my criticisms of Jim Tour is that he's been too soft,
Yeah, yeah.
which is kind of funny if you've heard him because he's very passionate
Oh,
about
yes,
what he's
yes.
talking about there. But that's great. Yeah, and what's Benner's approach here? Is he hoping for some new physics, as some people have claimed, or is he just?
This is what's so fascinating, and this will get into future podcasts. So I won't spoil it for our listeners. But what Stephen Benner does, the whole point of this paper was to describe the problems. So he really
Hmm.
offered no solutions.
Okay.
He says these are
Okay.
the problems,
Fair enough.
and he gave five very very serious problems. In fact, he articulated the problems as well as anyone I've ever seen. It was
Mm.
really a beautiful article. And I'm sure he's really happy how much I quote it and give him honor for what he did. But but what he does, and this is what everyone does actually practically, is they appeal to natural selection,
Oh boy.
or what would people just say selection, as the
Oh,
means by which nature overcomes these challenges.
oh boy. Okay.
It's really fascinating because people don't even always mention something replicating, like there's nothing
Hmm.
reproducing,
Hmm.
but they still just invoke the word selection to state that nature knows to select the right thing to move towards life. That's usually how they respond to it. And I think Stephen Benner has had papers that have made those sorts of claims.
Right. Well, okay. We're throwing back 100 years then to the early days of prebiotic selection. Then, okay. Yeah, and the other approach I've heard a lot of people argue for. I think what's her name, Sarah Walker, and some others have argued that we need to have new physics, new understanding. I know you have a degree in physics from Duke, a PhD in physics, so maybe we could have you back sometime to pursue that point. But let's set that aside for another time.